Hello, let's take a look at the top news today. No new restrictions on markets. From The Hindu. The markets plan to deploy more marshals to enforce mask and social distancing norms, penalize violators, and make public announcements urging people to follow COVID-19 appropriate behavior, or CAB. There were proposals within the BBMP to impose more restrictions, including reducing the duration markets and commercial hubs staying open, increasing distance between street vendors, drawing boxes in front of shops for people to maintain strict queues, and regulating crowd movement. However, the government was not keen on imposing more restrictions on economic activity, sources said. Continuous announcements through public addressal systems at markets on CAB, coupled with marshals regulating crowds, will effectively manage the system. Nothing can substitute for people following COVID-appropriate behavior, said Dr. Randev, Special Commissioner Health, BBMP. From the Associated Press, Biden says troops will stay in Afghanistan till all Americans are evacuated. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said earlier Wednesday that the US military does not have the forces and firepower in Afghanistan to expand its current mission from securing the Kabul airport to collecting Americans and at-risk Afghans elsewhere. Mr. Austin said there were about 4,500 US troops at the airport, maintaining security to enable the State Department-run evacuation program that has been marked by degrees of chaos and confusion. From The Hindu, India and Australia signed joint guidance for naval cooperation. To further bilateral and multilateral cooperation and interoperability in the maritime domain, Indian Navy and Australian Navy on Wednesday signed a joint guidance for Navy-to-Navy relationship document. The signing ceremony for the joint guidance for the Australia-India Navy-to-Navy relationship document was held virtually between Indian Navy Chief Admiral Karambir Singh and Australian Navy Chief Vice Admiral Michael J. Noonan. From The Hindu, China won't recognize Taliban until government formation. China on Wednesday indicated it would not consider recognizing the new Taliban regime in Kabul until a government was formed. Beijing was earlier this week the first major country to say it stands ready to develop good neighborly, friendly, and cooperative relations with Afghanistan in the wake of the dramatic takeover by the Taliban and the fall of Kabul. The Chinese Foreign Ministry on Wednesday clarified it was yet to recognize the Taliban regime and that would not happen until government formation. It is in customary international practice that the recognition of a government comes after its formation, spokesperson Zhao Lijian said. China's position on the Afghan issue is clear and consistent. We hope that Afghanistan can form an open, inclusive, and broadly representative government that echoes the widely shared aspirations of its own people and the international community. Regardless of whether the Taliban does or does not follow through on its stated commitment of forming a truly inclusive government, an eventuality that is by no means a given considering the group's past record and the history of its treatment of women and minority groups, it appears to be a question of when and not if China does recognize the Taliban. From The Hindu, respond to plea against Pegasus probe panel, Supreme Court tells Centre, West Bengal. The Supreme Court on Wednesday asked the Centre and the West Bengal government to respond to a petition challenging the formation of a commission of inquiry into illegal hacking, surveillance, and monitoring of mobile phones in the wake of the Pegasus snooping controversy. The petition lawyer Saurabh Mishra urged the court to stop the commission from proceeding further with its inquiry. He submitted that a public notice was issued by the Commission of Inquiry and proceedings were taking place on a day-to-day basis. The plea has challenged the state government notification which appointed the commission in July. The petition said the commission has no jurisdiction to embark on such an inquiry. From The Hindu, no democracy, only sharia law in Afghanistan, says Taliban. Afghanistan may be governed by a council now that the Taliban has taken over, while Islamist group supreme leader Haibatullah Akhundzada would likely remain in overall charge, a senior member of the group said. Many issues regarding how the Taliban would run Afghanistan have yet to be finalized. Wahidullah Hashimi, who has access to the group's decision-making, said in an interview. But Afghanistan would not be a democracy, he added. We will not discuss what type of political system should we apply in Afghanistan, because it is clear it is Sharia law and that is it. He said there will be no democratic system at all because it does not have any base in our country. Mr. Hashimi said he would be joining a meeting of the Taliban leadership that would discuss issues of governance later this week. The power structure that Mr. Hashimi outlined would bear similarities to how Afghanistan was run the last time the Taliban were in power from 1996 to 2001. Then Supreme Leader Mullah Omar remained in the shadows and left the day-to-day running of the country to a council. Mr. Akhundzada would likely play a role above the head of the council, who would be akin to the president, Mr. Hashimi said. Thank you very much for listening to the top stories today.